his latest book called Raw Tears. Camera people, would you please get a close-up shot of this book before I introduce the author of it? Oh, she's running, she's running. However, Raw Tears is a very, very interesting book, and that's what we will be talking about today. And I want to introduce my guests. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you, Mr. Yusuf.
Brother Yusuf.
Brother Yusuf.
Yes, Sister Queen.
How are you today?
It is well. I'm blessed, sister.
Blessed. I want to wish you a Happy New Year's. Should you feel special, you're the first guest on the show on Full Circle for this year.
That's very appropriate.
How are you today, though?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I want to thank you so much for taking our time and actually coming on Full Circle with your busy schedule. You look very busy since I walked through the door. I said, should I stop and talk to him before we actually start taping?
Well, I was just reading my own poetry.
Oh, right. Now, this book, Raw Tears, is all about poetry, huh?
Well, it's mostly poetry. Mm-hmm. There's a very unique short story in the back of the book titled The Been To and the Used To. The book's been out a little more than a year.
Okay, but this is your latest, though, right?
It's my latest.
Okay. Let me start with the actual title. Why Raw Tears?
Let me not make a mistake, so.
Let you not make a mistake? I don't see
Right.
where you will make a mistake. But that is the actual title, right?
Yes. Let me explain.
Okay.
On September, as I read from the book, 'cause I knew someone would have to ask that. On September 19, 2003, the words Raw Tears entered my consciousness. I did not know what to do with them. I looked around my mind, but could find no poem attachment, no mental images, not a single sentence accompanied their arrival. I had not even half of a clue as to the reason for their being. I had no charade of a hint as to what I was supposed to do with them. Raw tears. I wrapped them in one of the usual scraps of available paper, which served as receiving blankets for newborn pouring thoughts. Anyway, the words came to my mind, raw tears. I love words.
Okay.
It just, I couldn't think how to rhyme it. What did it mean? I did not know. But I just love raw tears.
Raw tears.
I've never heard that combination before.
No, me neither. That's why I asked the question.
So, it says that night, or rather in the early AM hours of September 20, 2003, the meaning of raw tears crept into my bed, slipped into my dream, and explained itself to me. And I'm like, wow, all right, that's what it means. But I was at that place where I was resting well, and I knew it. I knew I was asleep. I knew I was dreaming. I had that awareness. And I knew I could stay right there. I could come on its surface like a submarine and write this verse down, or I could just, run south, run deep, and go to the bottom of this ocean of sleep. I say, look, I'll recite this verse over and over. Then when I wake up, I write it down. And then I call myself some unfriendly names. Really curse myself out. In my sleep, in my dream. How can you say, after you've been walking around, like the brothers back in the Old Testament, longing for the things you had back in Egypt, and I hear this poem comes, and you are going to get to it later on. So I woke up and I wrote it down. I wrote the first verse down, went back to bed, woke up later on that day, and I completed the poem.
Okay.
Something come to me. last night while I slept. Don't you know God cried? Where it say Jesus wept? I'm crying raw tears. Say my pillows soaking wet. I calls them raw tears. Because they ain't done yet. And that was the meaning. And I dreamed that. They're raw because they're not done yet. They're not completed yet. And so
It's deep.
that's where raw tears comes from.
Okay. Okay. So what you did was you actually, from the title Raw Tears in the poem, you actually took a series of other poems which were very, very interesting. You all must definitely check this book out, Raw Tears. It's very interesting, at least.
It is.
I can say, oh, it is. But yes, it's definitely very interesting, and I want to briefly just talk about some of the poems in the book, because like I said, it's very interesting. The first thing I noticed that you did make quite a very nice dedication to your parents. Are your parents still alive?
Not on this plane.
I'm just asking. Is that impossible? Would that be impossible?
But they're not alive on this plane, but they are alive.
But
They may have reincarnated by now.
I asked you, would that be impossible? People live okay, well, I guess I should go back and say...
Since we cremated my mother.
However, I see you made a very nice dedication to your parents in the book. And I also seen where you made a dedication to, I was reading and you said, to my wife-to-be.
Whomever she may be. That's right.
So that means you looking.
That means she should be looking.
Oh, she should be looking?
Because I got a book to push. You know, I got to keep my eyes on the prize. You know, for real.
So okay, seeing that you said that, that means she should be looking. So some of the stuff in this book, that's what I gathered, was that you was hoping. You started it, you opened the door for it.
Hey, come on with it. Hoping I sell 100,000 copies.
And not a nice lady, a wife.
You know what? Poetry is a gift. I was given that gift a long time ago when no one paid me any attention. And once I began to operate in the gift, oh, I got all kinds of attention. And I looked up one day and I strayed away from the gift. And I was receiving all of this attention. And then one day I had some loneliness. I call it cosmic loneliness. There were women around, women available, but I was still empty. I was still lonely. And you know, like it says in one of those books about the prodigal son, saying, when he came to himself, when I came to myself, I came on back to the gift that the Father had given me, that the Creator had blessed me with. I'm not looking for a woman. I'm kind of like Martin. I just want to do God's will.
Okay. Okay.
I have to stay on task.
Well, we all have to.
I can't speak for us all now. You haven't elected me to that position yet.
All right.
But I have to do this. If a woman gets my attention and holds my attention, I'm like this. Treat me the best, the longest, the nicest, the most, and I may stay.
Let me ask you, because again, some of the titles of some of these poems in here are very, very interesting. And again, my first thought was Is he trying to find him a wife from writing this? He's selling himself. Is he selling himself or the book?
But you know what? We are a package deal.
I'm just saying. Hey.
Hey, everything's open.
Okay. So let me ask you about some of these titles in this book. One of them was Help Wanted. That was
Page 9.
Yeah. I know I started with page 9 a little before the show started, but page 9 was very interesting to me.
It would take up 2 pages if I listed all the...
I'm glad you didn't, because I'm still trying to figure out where you're going to find this woman.
Well, no.
I'm just saying...
Look, it says email, resume, and recent photo. See, when you place one ad, they have to respond to it.
Oh.
I'm not going to go out and search the highways and byways.
Okay. But you expect them to...
Not expect. One lady did answer the ad.
That was my next question. How many actual responses have you gotten from the book? Let me not just that particular.
Right. One answered the ad.
One answered the ad.
Now, responses to the book are way beyond page 9. A sister came and found me in River Oaks Mall about 3 weeks ago. She had purchased the book. She said, I just want to hug you and tell you thank you. She said, as I read, I said to myself, he gets it. This man gets it. And I knew this woman gets it. Another sister told me that her husband told her, said, tell Yusuf, he's given up too many of our secrets. A brother down in Atlanta told me, he looked at the book, he said, no, man, I can't buy that. He said, I will never. He said, you are the poet. No doubt about that, you are the poet, but I can't let my woman read this.
And most men are not going to open up. And
that's why I'm ratting this out.
Right.
I'm ratting all the men out.
You know, they can feel a certain way and even want to cry and all of that, but they're not going to do it. Most of them will not do it in front of their woman, their wife.
Queen, inshallah, I'll be 65 in March.
Okay, you look really good.
When I was about 23, I wrote a poem. It says, "Old woman," that's old, not old, old. Old woman, if I cried, would you know what to do? Would you hold me, turn cold on me, or pretend you didn't know? Could you comfort me, give warmth to me, yet still feel that I was no less of a man for crying and not cursing? What is my world that's in pain? Could I let the torrents rinse my soul and still have you to hold? Old woman. That's a brother 23 years of age who had looked around his life and saw something was missing. And what was missing, not everything, but one thing that was missing was my right to cry and still feel like a man. So I went and took back that right when I was 23 years of age.
That's deep.
And I was 23. This is not my first book. This is my first book in 22 years. But this is my 14th book. And I was telling a friend tonight while waiting outside, I said, I am so glad I left a paper trail in my 20s. Because things I wrote in my 20s guide me today.
So, let me ask you, have you been married?
No, ma'am.
What is, okay,
The right woman never asked me.
relationship, how long have you, oh, you expecting a woman to ask you?
Look at you, all are so independent these days. You know, I like where women are today.
So you waiting for a woman to answer the ad?
No, I just say the right woman never asked me. But I have performed about four marriage ceremonies and a couple of funerals.
Okay.
I can understand the funerals more than the marriages, but you know, that's another topic.
Okay. I'm just asking some of these questions. I want to get into some more of the topics of the book, but
Let me say something, Queen, about the book. That poem, Raw Tears. I didn't do that poem and then look for things to complement that. Now, this book had another title. Raw Tears came in and knocked that title out.
Okay.
I can't even recall what the title was. But Raw Tears came, pulled a coup. That title was exiled to somewhere. And so I didn't write around the title Raw Tears. This is my first book of poetry my first published book in 23 years. It's my first book of love poems since 1979. So in almost 30-something years. And people say, what happened during those 22 years when you didn't publish at all? The spirit just wasn't there. You ever gone to church and the preacher just, oh, he's just doing it. And then, or she's just doing it. And then it goes flat. That's because the spirit left.
exactly.
And he should have shut up when the spirit left. She said, well, folks, that's all, folks. Well, the spirit was not here. But when it came back on me, I had to publish. So there's a poem in here from 1969. There's a poem in here from 1970. And there's a poem in here from November 2011. So I covered some ground there.
Okay.
And so, as I say in the introduction, this is like a one-man anthology. I gathered most of my favorite poems. And then I took one poem or more out of my previous 13 books. And we have 196 pages here, so maybe about 15 pages come from my other books.
So when you actually put the book together, you published the book, you put the book out there. How did you feel? I mean, who were you trying to reach? What was you trying to reach on?
Me.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
I was trying to reach me. In 2011, I think in June. First of all, let me say, I'm from Pembroke, Illinois.
You from where?
Pembroke.
Pembroke?
Pembroke, Pembroke, Illinois.
Okay.
In rural Kankakee County. I always got to acknowledge Pembroke. I was down, we were in the Kankakee area for a memorial service for Mrs. Gooseby. And her children went to elementary school with me, grammar school as we called it back in the day. And all these people who came from all over the country to pay their respects were retired people. And Raymond Timms, he had been a pastor for 35 years, so he had retired. Somebody else retired, somebody else, and someone else was doing something, someone else had real estate. And I looked around and I said, who would I like to be here as? I asked myself that. And the answer was instantaneous, a new author.
Okay.
Now, I started this book around June 19th or 20th of last year. No. Yeah.
June.
Yeah, of last year, 2011.
Okay.
Well, 2011 I started. And so in July, when they said, so they called me Joe, because that's my birthday. I was born on a psychological plantation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the
I
Joe
was
Mitchell.
born on a psychological plantation in St. Luke's Presbyterian. They said, well, Joe, you still writing? I said, yeah, I'm writing. I'm working on something. And I was telling the truth. But I wish I were there as a new author. So on December 13th, 2011, when we brought the baby home, I had my ID again.
Okay.
For 22 years, I'm out here with no ID. That's like you go to cash your check, Queen, you take out your driver's license. This expired 22 years ago.
Right.
So I looked the same. No. So I needed ID. I didn't want to trade on the books I had done. And I've written some fantastic things in my 20s, my 30s. But I didn't want to trade on that. I needed something new. I could have recycled the 13 books I had done, and to everyone who would receive these books, they'd be new to them, but they wouldn't be new to me.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, just like me, I looked at the book, I went through the book, interesting, very interesting. This book is, I would actually sit down and read every page from just a few things I've actually read through the book, because I haven't had a chance to sit down and do the whole book like I would like. But what do you expect? What are you expecting from your
I'm Pisces, I'm psychic. I can stop you right there. Healing will take place.
Healing?
Healing.
Okay.
See, what I say here, I speak for those men who will not say these things.
Exactly.
I'm not unique. I tell women, I'm your man. That does not mean I want to be your man. I'm saying, I'm the man you have already. But he's afraid to let you see this in him. He's afraid of you. He thinks that he has to be Mr. Testosterone 24/7, 365. I say, but I'm not afraid of you. When I was 23, I went back and I claimed my right to cry. And that was something a wonderful breakthrough. And there was no tragedy. It wasn't at my mother's funeral, my father's funeral. I just, as I inspected myself, I knew, what happened to your right to cry? To have that release.
That's the problem with a lot of men, as far as I'm concerned, that they don't cry, that they don't show their true feelings. What about you say it's been 20-some years since you wrote this last book, and I asked you, had you been married before? I also asked you about relationship.
Read the poem.
Okay, read it, because I have some questions.
Oh, woman, don't feel that you can only come to me when things are going well. I want you to come to me with your tears, fears, and clabbered promises that set out too many nights. I want you to come to me in your head rags and blue jeans with an old coat thrown over your night things. I want you to come to me when you need someone to be lonely with, and lovemaking is nowhere near your mind. I want you to come to me when today is gone, tonight's too long, and tomorrow is too far away. Because you see, Queen, I've been lonely too. And I know that lonely is chronic as cancer, and it keeps no time schedules. So come to me, and don't worry, about the lateness of the night. I want you to come to me when it gets to you. Just come on to me, girl, and I'll do what I can. I'll be your friend. Oh, woman. Now you tell me what it's about. Wow.
It's deep. It's deep. But what I'm gathering is just like it's hard for men to open up to women. 2013 now, and you said it, you made the statement, it's hard for women to open up to men. And it don't matter how lonely a single, strong, black woman, any woman gets, it's kind of hard for us to just kind of, oh, I want to run to him, because it's not too many men that's going to be able to accept that. So it would be nice if it was somebody real out there like that, but
that's why women should buy this book.
That's what I'm talking about.
And tell a man, look here, check out page 19.
You know, they don't be not liking you like they didn't like Steve Harvey for that book he wrote. That's all they've been talking about. They was talking about that book. So this here is, I mean, trust me, it's very touching, very touching. But it's not. It's not real.
It's very real.
I mean,
go ask any of my